for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins. Make sure you guys go check out my sponsor, Easy Mutt. Use code VENM at checkout for 5% off. Yo, what's up guys, Venom Fire here, back from the video, and today we bring you guys Pavan's Gun Bunch offensive scheme, continuing our pro player series of videos. This has been one of the most highly requested ones yet, so I'm very happy to bring it to you guys. I hope you guys do enjoy this one. And it is one of the best gun bunches that I've seen run. It's pretty unique from some stuff. Even if you run gun bunch, you can learn some pretty solid setups from this. Again, we're going to be in the New York Jets offensive playbook, and as always, the written version of this will be pinned in the comment section, so you can go ahead and check that out as well. Also, before we get into the video, make sure you guys do go ahead, hit that subscribe button. These videos do take a long time to make, so it would be much appreciated if you could hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers, so if you're new, go ahead, hit that sub button. But we're going to be mainly focused on the gun bunch. I know that he did do some audibling around from bunch to bunch tight end throughout some of the games that were played, but we're just going to focus on this gun bunch here. Let's hop into our audibles. Now, the style that he actually runs his audibles at is pretty weird, and I'm actually going to change it up just a bit. This is honestly what he just leaves it at. So he has Jets, dig, base, verticals, and mesh. Now, in the game that I watched and that I'm basing this off, he did not run verticals at all, so we're actually going to take that out and just go with a play that he did run. Let's go with, let's just put in Z-spot for now. Now, it's a relatively simple gun bunch, but it is still very difficult because you're doing a lot of different things. Although you're keeping some of the same concepts, you're changing a route here, route there, you'll see that. So, and actually, we're only really going over these plays and then smash return. So, only a total of 4 passing plays. Again, it's relatively simple, but there's some good setups. And again, there's a lot of setups per play. So, I'm going to go ahead and start out with Jets dig here. It is the main play. It's the play that he did run the most. As far as abilities that he has, he had the Hot Route Master. He also has a Playmaker. Now, the Playmaker will be used usually on the solo side, but for smash return, it's actually going to be on the outside bunch receiver. You'll see that I will go ahead and reset everything once we go to that play. But again, Hot Route Master. If you're not using Hot Route Master, go ahead, use a tight end apprentice, and then usually an outside apprentice on the outside receiver, and then backfield master will not really be needed. Gunslinger is recommended also for this type of a scheme. On the defensive side of the ball, I think I'm just going to go ahead and be running like some man coverage to zone coverage mix up. So let's go ahead, hop out in that. I'm going to start out with some man coverage, and yeah, let's just get into the video. So sorry, that was a lot of explaining, but with that being said, we're finally able to get started on this video. So Jets dig is going to be our first play. And a lot of these setups are going to be kind of similar. Now, for our first setup, all we have to do is we're just going to put A on a corner route and snap the ball. It's one of the setups that's very good, just because all you have to do is make one hot route, and you can literally just snap the ball like that. And against press man-to-man coverage, it's really good, just because this corner route's going to beat man, and also that dig route's going to be just difficult to use. Or a lot of times, especially at a bunch, people don't expect this kind of quick corner route with the tight end, so it's good to catch people off guard. Also against man, you can kind of quick snap this table route and usually throw that. That's something that I'll show and probably do throughout the video. But yeah, this play is just very, very solid stock. It's going to be a very good setup against man coverage and zone coverage, so it's going to be a diverse play. Let's hop into some zone coverage now. And again, just a very diverse stuff. It's a good quick snap. You're not going to use any motion for this particular setup. Again, you can always check down to the flats against man and zone. Let's kind of show that table route quickly. Against man coverage, you can kind of quick snap it, and that's what I mean. So that was stock man-to-man coverage. I know that was a linebacker, but even on a safety, you could actually throw that against man coverage every play. Just quick snap, throw it. Brady doesn't even have Gunslinger, so I could get the ball out even faster. With like a Rodgers with Gunslinger, it's going to be very difficult to stop. But that was setup number 1. Moving on to setup number 2. It's going to be pretty similar. What we're going to do is we're going to, again, corner out A. This time I'm going to go ahead and hitch B instead of taking him on that flat. And then we're going to go ahead and motion RB over. So RB, he can get some solid separation, especially with man coverage or with a speed advantage. So against man coverage, sometimes RB can get open on that. Not only is he pretty successful against that, but something against like a cover 2, if I were to just, let's just go with something like this, just kind of a hybrid setup. If there's no middle third on the field, he sometimes can get open when he's motioned over on his route. Now again, we're going to leave X, we're going to leave Y, so we're not really hopping into playmaker too early, but you see how he would easily be able to be thrown. And I think even against cover 4, that's a potential read that you can throw. So forcing your opponent to always put a middle third, especially every time that you motion him over. Again, as far as the other side, just against like stock cover 3 or cover 2, that little hitch to corner out concept, just kind of a basic combo. You see how B is just going to get wide open most of the time by the corner out kind of pulling those zones out of the place. And overall, it's a solid route combination. Moving on to our third setup, what we're going to do here is something very similar. Really, all I'm going to do is just drag my outside receiver instead of that in route. So I'm still going to corner out A, I'm going to drag X, and then all I'm going to do is motion Chris from right to left. Again, this is just a good basic combo. Again, you can always playmaker this guy back. You see how playmaker is going to be very difficult. It's going to be a handful, especially when you can combine it with a play like this. We've kept him, we haven't used playmaker once. We've been able to beat coverage consistently. Now you add the playmaker, and it's just going to be very difficult to defend. Now, especially if your opponent's going with like a man coverage or zone coverage mixture, there's just not enough zones to defend the entire field. You see how the corner out's open. He's just going to have to pick and choose where he uses. If running stock 2-man under, RB can potentially get open, especially if he's fast enough. So it's really difficult to pick and choose, and this is only one play in the entire offense. So just take that into consideration as well. Moving on to our fourth setup out of Jets Dig, what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and cross A. I'm going to slant X. This one I'm actually going to block my running back. And then I'm just going to motion Chris Godwin over again. So you see that's a common theme throughout this. Usually the guy you're motioning over in this play is going to be Chris Godwin or your slot receiver. Just motion him across. This is just a solid play with crossers. We have X and B on a flat. Even with a slant route, you can playmaker him back. So he didn't get good separation off the press. McCaffrey's a running back, so he's not really going to get good separation on that. So I can still playmaker that if I have to. Again, zone coverage, it's going to create a solid high-low read. And this is a very unique route combination. This is one that I had not seen before. So definitely a pretty solid play that you can always mix in. You see the crosser. Crosser's not really going to get open against zone coverage without a flat. But sometimes if you were to catch someone off guard, like if they were running cover 3, they make kind of like a read on you where they see how you're not putting any routes deep on the left side. Maybe they feel like, oh, I can just hard flat because the running back. So they would probably play something, I don't know, maybe like this if they were not double flatting. That's when you could maybe catch them off guard with a crosser. But if it's just stock coverage, the crosser's not going to do a whole lot for you. But in this case, you would see how the crosser could get open. I could throw the crosser. Late play situations, you see how the slant's going to actually be open on the sideline. That was just a stock curl flat, so depending on the zone drops, B or X would be your read. Anyways, let's move into our last setup for this Jets Dig. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually option Y, and then I'm going to go ahead out A, and I'm going to smart out A. So instead of the corner out, we have the out route. This is mainly for zone coverage. This option sits in a pretty good spot against zone. Again, the out route's a little bit better against zone as I actually left it in man coverage there, but the out route's going to be better against zone than the corner out is what I was trying to say. Again, I mentioned that I was in the incorrect coverage there. This is another play where you're not going to use any motion, and you can just kind of snap it stock, so you could get the ball off pretty quickly. Here you see the option route. It's going to be a good mixture because we've been going flat, 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 even blocking him. Now the option route could catch someone off guard, and especially if he's not manning up the running back, if he is just, if he's running zone coverage, and the running back's just exposed, there's not really a reason to continue to put him on a flat if there's a hard flat there every single play. The option route's going to create another problem for his defense. One more time, here is a look at it. We'll go ahead, audible to zone coverage again, and snap the ball. You see how you can low ball this out route as well. And overall, just that high-low read is going to be pretty difficult for your opponent to stop. With that being said, let's move into our next play, which will be mesh. Hopping into this mesh play. This is a very Playbook exclusive play. It's in the Jets playbook. I think it might be in a couple of others. Not exactly sure which ones. Maybe Raiders, honestly. Again, I'm not sure on that, but we got solid 2 setups for this play. Hopping into our first setup, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, smart out B. The next thing we're going to do is utilize some outside apprentice hot routes. We're going to go ahead, put X on a post route, the deep post. You can also smart out that. Now, all these practice mode simulations are going to be in 1st and 10. This post is better in 2nd and 5. I have said that on many occasions, so keep that in mind. But you're going to post X. Again, it's going to be good against cover 2 if that's something that he's consistently going with. And that's all you're really going to do. You're going to go ahead and block your running back as well. But you have this little drag route I think it's a little bit better against man coverage than a traditional drag. It is a little bit different, a little bit deeper down the field. Depending on what the zone drops are, maybe you're able to throw that over the top of something. But you have this little smart routed corner out that should get some nice separation against man coverage. You see how he's just going to get vertically up the field. Now, that's something that I should have lob passed. Evans is not exactly fast, so depending on what you have, that's a route that could get open. A lot of times it's an eye catcher, so some think that corner out's more of a distraction almost, just to kind of take the user away from defending something else. Again, it's also good against zone. I think that the Z-spot corner out's a little bit better. This one's a little bit better against zone coverage, not going to get as good separation, but you see how it's just pulling things up. It's a really good route at kind of distracting things, pulling zones up. You see how much it opened up the flat route there. So even though you're not going to throw it to it maybe every play, it still has a very good purpose. Basically, what I'm saying here. Again, with the post route, you can get some separation. Look at that little drag against man. We got a weird throwing animation there, but you see how that little drag kind of cross route with RB is getting some solid separation. Anyways, let's move into our next setup out of mesh. And now we're going to use some different motion. I'm actually going to motion Evans over on this one. So I'm going to smart out B. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag X. I'm going to out route A. And then basically what I'm going to do is just streak RB. And then I'm going to motion Evans over. So this is just a solid setup. Again, when you have the drag and the out route going to the same side, you're going to probably want to playmaker X back just like this. But you see how B is going to act as a crosser. So we will create a similar concept with this out of Z-spot, but that is a pretty solid way to run it, and Z-spot's actually going to be our next setup, ironically enough, but again, the setup's just to streak RB, smart out B, out A, and block your running back. See how X is already on a drag? I like to put him on this little shorter drag. I feel like it's better with the playmakers. Again, against man coverage, I want to make sure that I motion snap so Evans is not going to get pressed. Again, I can playmaker X. I see that B's defended pretty well there. I'm going to playmaker him back. And of course, you have other options against zone coverage. Still a very solid setup as well. And just like some traditional concepts. Again, these are just route combos that you don't see often. Sometimes less is more. I'm sure you guys know that. But you see how the crosser can get over the top. You see it's a pretty deep. Even though we're smart outing, even though we're motioning over, it goes very deep down the field. Even though it's really cutting or breaking at almost 5 yards. So very solid route there. You can definitely create some unique route combinations with that. As I mentioned previously, we're going to hop into Z-spot next. Now, he doesn't go to this play at all, really. During the time that I got these clips from, Z-spot was very popular as a corner out offense, but actually we're going to use it as a post route. And he doesn't really use it as a corner out at all in the game that I watched. So we're just going to smart out our B here. We're going to go ahead streak B. We're going to delay fade A. And then we're just going to go ahead and drag X. I'm going to block my running back. And then I'm just going to motion RB over. So very basic concept. This is intended to be a rollout type of play. But you're going to motion RB over. You're going to snap the ball. And he's going to be a very similar. Again, he breaks out around 5 yards. But he ends up running super deep vertically down the field. As well as going to the right side. So very solid route. Again, you have the drag with playmaker. I have the little clear out streak. Going to be good against man. If we go to zone coverage, again, it's going to be the same. If everything is covered, I can roll out and I can release Gronkowski on his delay fade, which I'll show here. I'm going to roll out, release A, and right there, I can throw it up the field and pick up a solid, easy 20 yards. You won't see too many delay fades out of gun bunch, but again, the style of offense he was kind of playing, he was doing a lot of audibling, so he was audibling to bunch tight end, then he was running delay fade, so just gets you a little bit worried about it. One more time, just smart out RB, streak B, drag X, block your halfback, and delay fade A, motion Chris over. So again, we ran that motion a lot out of Jets dig. Now we're running it out of Z spot. So different plays with different plays with the same motions can create problems. And one that you're not going to a whole lot like Z spot can definitely catch someone off guard. But let's move into our last play, which will be smash return. As I mentioned, what I'm going to do for this play is I'm actually going to move the playmaker to my outside of the bunch, and you'll see why I do that. But the next play is going to be smash return, not bench pivot. He actually likes smash return better. All right, this is actually the second most popular play that he ran, again, in the game that I watched. Smash return, you see it probably as of late, a lot of guys going to bench pivot, but smash return is still very solid. And again, he uses it in kind of a unique way, as you might expect. So smash return, what we're going to do for our first setup is simply just streak RB and block our running back. Just pretty simple stuff. He actually doesn't use really any motion out of this play at all. So it's, again, something that you can quick snap and get the ball off relatively quickly here. Now take a look at Christian McCaffrey. Now, sometimes in stock press man-to-man, you see how these guys just get jammed really effectively. Now, this is one of the bigger reasons that I'm not a super big fan of it historically, is just because Christian McCaffrey kind of runs through people. That's why I typically motion him out of step, but you saw Chris Godwin got slammed to the ground and he couldn't even run his route. But you saw the idea of Christian McCaffrey's playmaker. I think that's because I'm not shade over the top, so let's shade over the top, and that should reduce our issues. But you saw with Christian McCaffrey, he's going to be an in-breaking zig route. So he's going to initially go to the outside, he's going to kind of go back in, and then when he goes back in, he's going to have initial separation, and then I can playmaker him back outside. A lot of people out of this smash return, they do like to have a high-low between the tight end and someone else. This is a good way and a unique way to do that. So now we're shaded over the top. You see how McCaffrey's going to get open stock. I can playmaker him back. I can throw it to X. Typically, Gronkowski will beat man coverage as well. Now, Gronkowski doesn't have any good route running stats or stuff like that, but in Ultimate Team, you can get like a route tech on your tight end, and you can put in work with that guy. High speed guys, high overall guys should get separation on safeties in man coverage if that is the case. If we move on to zone coverage, should be the same kind of concept. Again, you're just going to, with McCaffrey, I can throw it there. I can kind of playmaker back and simply lowball it. Also, when you playmaker him back, that's going to pull down zones, and I can throw that to Gronkowski over the top. But let's move into our number 2 setup out of 4. For this one, we're going to go ahead, bring back the post route. I'm going to post route X. The next thing I'm going to do is just streak RB and block my running back again. So we're going to keep B and A for 3 out of the 4 setups. You'll see that, but again, we're just going to post X, streak RB. Just a solid vertical play. Again, basic concept. Let's run man coverage. Boom. You see how Gronkowski's going to get some nice separation. Even a guy that's slower, I know that was on a linebacker, he's going to get some pretty solid separation there. Again, pretty simple stuff. You're making 2 hot routes, so this is, again, something that you can kind of quick snap if you want. You see how RB almost gets some really good separation. I'm not sure what caused that. I think it has something to do with the kind of route combo that I'm running. But that was just a stock streak. And again, you see it gets some nice separation. Sometimes these unique routes just will create problems in man coverage. Again, if they press or shade underneath, something like that, you see how these guys just get jammed super badly at the line of scrimmage. McCaffrey, he's typically the culprit of getting pressed super badly. So if you notice him just getting jammed like he just did because he had no separation on his cut, even if I playmaker him, he still didn't have separation. So let's say you see that a lot. You see that happening. How do I fix that per se? So all I'm going to do is just motion him out of step and snap the ball. Now he can't get pressed. Now look at that separation difference. So again, he didn't use that at all, but that was just something that I'm going to say to help you guys out a little bit. But let's move into our third setup. What I'm going to do here is post X again. I'm just going to drag RB now, and I'm going to block Y. So, again, you can kind of treat B as an out route. I have RB just going again to that side. If you're running this play a lot, he might not respect RB. He might just run stock man-to-man coverage. Again, I can playmaker McCaffrey back. Sometimes the issue is that it playmakers someone else, and I think that was the case. It might have playmakered RB, but he didn't respond when I playmakered. So maybe slide out to the right a little bit if that is an issue. Again, RB is kind of already on a drag, I believe, but his will stop if it's zone coverage. So I like to just re-put him on that drag as well against man coverage. I'm going to kind of slide out here, and now you see even sometimes when I do that, it doesn't let you playmaker B. So for this setup, typically it's better to just treat B on his normal route and not really use the playmaker too much. If I really wanted to go to this setup, I could put RB on the playmaker, but for for now, you're just going to kind of treat it as a normal play because the playmaker, you see how it's kind of not working. That could change for online play as well. We understand that, but you see how McCaffrey, boom, he's going to get open. I could always playmaker him back in that situation that he's getting jammed and pushed down, and the drag's already on the other side of the field. So it just depends on the coverage, the situation, but let's move into our fourth setup, which will be one where we actually put B on a route finally. I'm going to out B, drag X, and I'm just going to streak RB. Now, this is one where I would like playmaker over here. Again, I don't have that, unfortunately, because he's on the other side, but typically you'd have playmaker on the left side. This is just a solid read. It's just going to create different kinds of problems because I have the playmaker on the other side. And we haven't ran that really at all. Now, there's other setups, again, you could run besides these that could create problems, but this is just unique because you would have the drag on the other side where we have had posts that deep in route, and it could create some problems. The one constant with 3 out of the 4 is, again, you're just putting RB on a little streak. Again, you don't want to have too many routes to one side always. If it's man coverage, again, McCaffrey could get open. Typically, I would playmaker X up. I have X or A open. And yeah, it's going to be good. Let's go with zone coverage. Now, again, I don't have playmaker, so it was pretty covered pretty well there. You can get the ball off pretty simply. Again, you see with sometimes these routes, look at how open A is, and that's just stock cover 3. So, especially this particular route combo, I noticed that Gronkowski just gets into a really good spot of certain zones, and that is a problem. I'll show that again. Just out B, streak RB, drag X, block the running back. Boom. We're going to kind of roll out here, and you see how A is just going to be wide open. Now, again, if he double flats certain things, there's adjustments that he can make that could take that away, but still a solid route combo, especially when you combine all these together. He's not going to know what's happening, so it's going to be difficult for him to keep consistencies in his defense. Overall, it's going to do for the video. If you guys enjoyed, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more, and peace. I'm out of here.